I just can't find it.
What are you looking for? It's not up there. Wait, what's that? We're back! Welcome back to F1 Fantasy Weekly.
We're back.
We're back! And we start off today's episode with an apology with whatever the hell that was that we did, you know. It's been a while since it's back and we really wanted a dramatic kind of return to the series.
Dramatic.
That's what we came up with. So if you wanted to click off the video after that, we don't blame you. But please stay.
If you're still here.
If you're still here, Fantasy's back and we've got a show for you today. So what we are going to do, we're just going to kind of plug our other video. We're going to give you top 5 things or top 5 tips. You know, with me and Stephen in our classic race reviews, we like a top 5 thing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So we're going to give you our top 5 tips to be successful in F1 Fantasy in 2020. We're going to do our Rate Your Team section and finish off with our Kimi Moment of the Week. And next week will be our full Austrian race preview where we give you our teams, give you a kind of rundown who we think will do well at that first weekend and go from there. But this was really just an episode to announce we're back. So if you're new around to kind of F1 Fantasy, you're wondering what all the hype's about. You're wondering why there's people saying, join my league, join my league.
Join my league.
Yes.
I haven't got a league.
No, you've got our league.
Our league.
It's ours. Don't take responsibility.
And yours.
For that. It's everyone's. That was creepy. Don't do that again. That was weird. But if they're new around here, you're new around here, wondering what this is all about, what should they probably do, Stephen?
They should probably check out F1 Fantasy Explained by F1 Fanatics. Great channel, great content. We basically, before this, when the season was actually meant to begin, in the lead up to it, we did a few fantasy videos, basically explaining all the rules, looking at all the new changes, because it's a different fantasy to last year, and in some areas. And yeah, if you're just looking for a easy to watch explained video, go check it out.
If we don't say so ourselves. Because if you don't promote your own content, nobody else will. And also, a slight change you'll notice in those videos is that myself and Stephen are on camera. So let us know in the comments down below if you prefer this new format of me and Stephen on camera for F1 Fantasy Weekly, or whether you go, we don't like looking at your faces. Please put those away and go back behind the pictures.
Oh.
We'll be sad, but we'll understand.
Speak for yourself.
Okay, but we should probably get on with the rest of this video.
Yes.
So, hopefully, if there are any questions, Just Rocks on Twitter said, can you explain the changes since the previous changes happened? We couldn't really see any changes from what we'd previously explained in our videos, but if you can comment down below with anything you're unsure on, I'm sure we can do a quick roundup in the preview next week, and we can explain that for you there.
Yeah, we may just cover it anyway in our top 5 tips.
May do. Top 5 tips. Here we go. Number 1, you're up.
Starting with the most complicated one, the one that's probably going to confuse you, we'll get out the way first. Dynamic pricing. Last year, prices only changed once, and that was after qualifying or after the race. This year, they change all the time, and it's dependent on, I think it's their performance, and it's people subbing them in and out of their teams. So if lots of people put a driver in or a team in, price will go up, and if everyone takes them out, price will go down. It changes all the time, so you need to keep track of it constantly if you want to try to play the markets. A useful thing they've added this season is a little, I'm trying to think of the way to describe it, but they'll do like green arrows if their price is going up, red arrows if their price is going down. So if you see one of your drivers' price is going up, you may go, I want to cash this guy in. Maybe Max Verstappen's just won Austria, and you're like, going to cash this guy in.
I believe, isn't that the thing, that even if they're on the way up, you can lock in their new price?
Yeah. So as soon as you make the change, you'll get that money. So if someone goes up 5 million, you sell them, you'll have that extra 5 million to spend on another driver. Their price probably won't, 5 million is probably quite dramatic. I think their example was like 10 million. It was like Kimi Raikkonen going up 10 million, which in itself...
Realistic.
I presume the chain prices won't be that dramatic, but even like if you try and make an extra 2 million on a driver, that could be massive. You could be looking towards the end of the season with 3 big drivers in your team.
And that at the back end of last year was what some people within our league, Yanni, Mr. JM, Tamako Super, Playtech Super Life, wasn't it? He was very good team at the end. I think he had at one stage kind of like Hamilton, Charles Leclerc and Bottas.
Yeah.
He had a crazy amount of ridiculous drivers within that team. But yes, what we're basically saying is tip 1, be obsessed with the game to do well.
Well, this is, just maybe have a look and just check out the green arrows, red arrows. If someone's price is going down, it's probably best not to sub them out your team because you're going to have less money. So only sub out people with green arrows. It's probably a good tip.
Tip 1, be obsessed with the game. Tip 2, my turn. Streaks. These are important because you get bonuses and you get qualifying bonuses for streaks. That is in the top 10 for 5 races in a row. And that relates to race as well. And you get +5 for all of them. So you could potentially, if a driver is getting qualifying and race, +10 on that. And the constructors also get a +5, don't they?
Yep.
If they have both cars qualify in the top 10 for 5 races in a row as well. Yes, streaks. It's never been easier, I think. It was one of our kind of big bugbears with the game, that they didn't make it really easy to follow who was on streaks, and unless you had like some manual spreadsheet going, which I know some people did, it was difficult to kind of keep a track of who was on a streak, who maybe be on a streak.
Yeah.
But now on their kind of card or whatever, they should be telling you how far along they are on that streak. So that obviously may play into cards. You may swap in your midfield driver because he might be getting a bonus +5 if he qualifies or finishes the race in the top 10, even though you think maybe someone might finish higher. So say like a difference between a Perez and a Daniel Ricciardo. Daniel Ricciardo might be on a streak, so that might be the difference that means he scores more in that week than Sergio Perez.
Yeah. So already, before you transfer someone, you look at their streaks, you look at their price. Changes.
2 down, 3.
Well, just to add.
Oh, right, sorry, I've jumped in.
Streaks, turbo driver, double points, mega driver, triple points. It's a good idea to tie in those with streaks because streaks will get doubled or tripled depending on what.
Yeah, probably good time to mention actually on the Mega Driver. It's a new thing this season where you can do any driver and they can get double points. So obviously there's only been 20 million and below you could make your turbo driver, which basically rules out the top guys. So I've seen, I think, a couple of people in Rate Your Team, will come round to it, using their Mega Driver in week 1. It may pay off and it may be good, but it also, I know obviously in this mixed up season, we're just assuming playing the game here, we're going to have more than 8 races during this season.
Yeah.
So it might be best, even in this first, 5 races, that you kind of take a look, see out the top guys are on a streak, and what the 5th race should be Silverstone. So you might be looking at a Lewis Hamilton or a Valtteri Bottas, with Mercedes probably more likely to be stronger there.
Yeah.
But obviously we'll come around to that in the previews. But yes, hold off on it from week 1 because that is going to be a massive points gain, and you don't want to necessarily throw it when you haven't seen any of the cars or who might perform or who might do well.
On to number 3. Tip 3. Bit simpler. Your teams are locked in at qualifying. I think it's an hour before qualifying happens. So basically you have free practice 1, 2 and 3 where you can look, see who's doing well and transfer anyone in. Maybe give you a good idea. Maybe you're thinking, oh, Red Bull looking good for Austria, but then all of a sudden Mercedes top all the timesheets and you want to go for double Mercedes or something like that. So be aware, you can change your team an hour before qualifying begins. Give you some insight from the practice sessions.
Yeah, so you don't have to make necessarily uneducated guess it on it. If you are kind of debating, I think this is massively impressive, not impressive, but important on the midfield teams. When you're unsure, because the midfield teams are so close, we saw from 2019 season, of how, you know, the McLarens, the Renaults, Racing Points, Alpha Tauris, Toro Rosso at the times differed per track, that you wanted to kind of, have a look at how they're looking in practice on who might go on and have a good weekend. Especially FP2 is a very good one to kind of base results on, because that's when they tend to get some qualifying and race pace in there as well. 4. That is top constructor, and this is definitely something that I've seen when we'll get into the rate your team section. Pick a top constructor. What we found from playing the game is the difference between the points scored between the top constructors and the, bottom constructors. Even if you got in a couple of more top drivers, it's going to be very hard to make up that gap, and it leaves very little margin for error for getting that decision right of picking your top drivers if they have a bad weekend. Go for one of Mercedes, Ferrari and Red Bull, and if I'm being honest with you, Mercedes and Red Bull are probably the best ones to go for at the moment, because Ferrari, it's Ferrari. I think we need to have a look at that. You probably Spa and Monza again is the ones that you're looking at bringing them in for a constructor if you're going to. But go for the top constructor, invest the money there and go for 1 or 2 top drivers and play around with the rest of the midfield, because especially with the turbo driver and points that you can make up on drivers, it's a lot easier to score and kind of get points there to make up the difference that you would get, because the constructor scoring isn't very evenly distributed. 5.
The wild card. This is an ability you can use, you can use to make unlimited substitutions of drivers or teams. Because normally you can only have 1 free substitution a week or between race weekends. And so wildcard lets you use unlimited amounts. You get 2 per season. I'm not sure how it's going to work. Normally it works 1 before the mid-season break and 1 after. But just saying that out loud, I'm not sure.
I would go to say 1 in the first set of 8 races and 1 in the second, maybe 8 races.
Yeah. It's using it. You have to make sure you use it twice. I think that's a great shout. It's always worth it. Even if you're thinking, I've got a great team, you can probably have a play around. And you can probably make some money. I'm not sure how the money system works, the wild card. We don't really know until it happens. But you could try and make some good money, I think.
Yeah, and I think it's just an important one. The wild card is such an important or such a useful tool that may kind of drag your team round. Don't just kind of look at it, I've had a bad first week, I've got this totally wrong. Hold off. Calm down. Chill out.
The results will come back to you.
You can't go make irrational decisions. You might be better off taking a -10 hit, which you take if you make more than the 1 allowed substitute a week. That would certainly be wiser than throwing your wildcard away, because they are so limited and it does kind of give you that freebie to kind of change things up. So certainly make sure you use the wildcard carefully. But that's our top 5 tips.
Yep.
You might have some more tips or more questions. Get involved in the comments below. We are your resident fantasy experts, where we're going to get everything terribly wrong this season and it's going to go so bad. But we did okay last year.
We can have a highlight reel of all our bad calls last year.
We're 2019 experts. I was in the top 1%.
Wait.
Yeah. I was a Lewis Hamilton
Some
equivalent.
impressive stuff.
That's what it said. It said, I was the Lewis Hamilton of the fantasy world.
Didn't even give me a driver. Clearly hadn't loaded in the F2 drivers into their database.
Absolutely not. Don't listen to him. Listen to me. But no, we just enjoy playing the game, which is what F1 Fantasy is.
Yep.
And
create discussion around it.
Absolutely.
On to Rate Your Team, where we get you involved. So every week we will rate your team 5 Kimmys out of 5.
Well, no, if you have a good team, you'll get...
out of 5 Kimmys.
Out of 5 Kimmys.
That's the one I was
It's an important one to go for.
All you have to do is, we'll send out a tweet. All you have to do is reply with your team, and we'll rate your team on the podcast.
Or in the comments below.
Yeah. Or, yeah, you can just tell us the drivers and teams in the comments below.
Is it time?
Let's do it. Some of you have sent in your team, and we will rate your team.
Rate your team.
Mine.
Okay, first team coming in. We're going to do all of them week 1. Obviously, with reviews and previews to kind of keep the time length down. We won't necessarily do all of them in weeks to come, but we'll pick a selection of kind of a good mix. But as it's week 1, and it's a shorter episode today anyway, we'll go there. So first one comes from LR13 at Liam13. He's confident in this team. He has Norris, Leclerc, Russell, Ricciardo, Verstappen as a mega driver, and McLaren as his constructor. What you feeling?
Verstappen and Leclerc, great shouts. They had a great Austria 2019. Other than that, I'm not sure about McLaren as your constructor, especially as you only have Verstappen and Leclerc. But I like Verstappen and Leclerc. Russell's a great shout. He'll get you money. I'm going to say 3 Kimmys out of 5. I'm
also going to go 3 Kimmys out of 5 because that mega driver, like we said, it's a bit dangerous using it week 1. I mean, obviously Verstappen's done well there in the past couple of years.
Yeah.
So it might be guaranteed win there. But you also, because it's so rare to be able to use this turbo on top drivers, you might want to hang around for a streak to do so on that front. And like we said, constructors, I just think even if McLaren are best of the rest, they'll probably only score about 20, 25 points to whoever wins the race, which is usually, well, it can be as much as 70 or 50.
Yeah.
So that is the type of points difference you're talking about. And honestly, if it is like a Mercedes 1-2 or a Red Bull 1-2, then that gap would be unattainable to kind of bridge if you had McLaren as your constructors, even with your drivers' points,
exactly.
I think.
On to the next team from AS19. Now he's got Danny Kvyat, Pierre Gasly, Max Verstappen, Giovinazzi, Danny Ricciardo, and Red Bull as his constructors. Now this is a team that I think I'll call loyalty. Very strong loyalty.
No, it's called Prime Banter Club.
Yes. It's a loyal team.
Okay.
Sometimes F1 Fantasy, you go with your heart or you go with your head, and this is one with his heart, going for those AlphaTauri guys. Danny Kvyat. He's got Danny Kvyat, his top left, the first spot. You know, that's where you pick your favourite driver. Kvyat's in there. To be fair, I like Max Verstappen, I like Red Bull, but probably best not to go double AlphaTauri. I kind of want a second top driver in there.
Yeah.
But I don't hate it because of the Red Bull. I think Red Bull are going to be strong with Austria. I think they're good bets. So I want to give it 3 Kimmys out of 5, that one.
I also want to give that 3 Kimmys out of 5. Looking at it, yes, the Verstappen Red Bull Ricciardo link's good. Giovinazzi's an interesting pick in there. Either one of Kvyat or Gasly could do well, but I think going double on there, because you've got to remember that you get teammate points for, well, beating your teammate.
Yeah.
So if you go double on a teammate within there...
You guarantee it, but you may miss out
on some other teammate points of somebody else beating them. So yeah, that is AS19's 3 Kimmys out of 5. We're going with Katie next, and there is no surprise who's the most prominent driver in that one. This is a team of hearts, but it's also actually turned out quite good. A nice team for racing for Antoine is the team name. So Charles Leclerc, Lando Norris, Pierre Gasly, Kevin Magnussen and Esteban Ocon, with Mercedes as the team. Now, for me, looking at that is a very well-rounded team, and Haas is the weak point, but with Kevin Magnussen was always going to be there, but it's not because Kevin Magnussen couldn't get a good result. I mean, he obviously qualified in P5 in Austria last year. That was one of their best qualifying performances, Haas. But you just don't know which Haas is going to turn up.
Exactly, yeah.
But that's a loyalty one there. But she's gone for Mercedes, the strong constructor. Leclerc, strong driver in the Ferrari there. Norris, Gasly and Ocon. Well, Norris and Ocon, I suppose, are the kind of more gambles ahead of Sainz and Ricciardo, the experienced teammates. But it could pay off. I think I'm going to give this 4 Kimmys out of 5.
I'm feeling 4 Kimmys out of 5 as well. I presume because I think Ocon's quite expensive. That's why she hasn't gone for like Leclerc. I know it's probably Mercedes. That's the cost eater in that team. But it's looking good. I'll give that 4 Kimmys out of 5.
Nice. Next one.
That's me. We're going to go Sam O'Gara's team. So he's got Max Verstappen, Sebastian Vettel, Checo Perez, Pierre Gasly and George Russell, and his team is Red Bull. Oh, I'm loving it. I'm absolutely loving that team. I'm almost tempted to give this one a 5 Kimmys out of 5. Ding, 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 ding. Oh,
Winner! Sam O'Gara leads the leaderboards going into one, and
I love. Okay, Sebastian Vettel is a bargain buy for those top 3 teams. We don't know how Ferrari are going to show up in Austria, but I love it. Max Verstappen, you got Red Bull. I think they're the favourites for the race. Checo Perez, again, another bargain buy in that pink Mercedes. Let's not forget how well they did in pre-season testing. They were looking very good. Could have a very strong result in Austria. Then Pierre Gasly and George Russell. George Russell, great for getting those teammate points. And Gasly,
yeah, early doors, George Russell seems to be a bit of a solid scorer.
Yeah.
As the season goes on and you've made your money, there are better bets in the midfield as you kind of understand who's going to be who.
Yeah.
But look, we don't know what Latifi's going to be like, but how George Russell was last year, and with a year's experience under his belt, you kind of feel like against a rookie teammate, he's going to start off the season well. And obviously there's a Mercedes seat on the line for him to play for. Look, I'm a big believer, early doors, you've got to make that money. And Vettel and Perez are too good for me not to be in a team. Right, that's obviously they're good drivers as well. But Vettel's going to be popular. Last season at Ferrari, a lot of Vettel fans will vote for their hearts and bring him in, especially at that price. Sergio Perez, if you compared to the other experienced midfield drivers in Carlos Sainz and Daniel Ricciardo, who I think are like 15 mil and 14 mil respectively, around about that price, at 9.3, you'd be stupid not to kind of bring in Checo, just because he's Sergio Perez. He's such a consistent performer, and he's going to be in and around that top 10, and more than likely going to be beating Lance Stroll in qualifying and the race. So that's teammate bonus points as well. He's surely one that even if he has a bad season, you'll be able to make money on him early doors.
Exactly, yeah.
So 5 out of 5 for me too. We move on to Will Earl from the Formula One podcast. Make sure you check Formula Podcast 1. God, I've upgraded him. I've given him a promotion. He's on the Formula One podcast. Well done, Will. No, he's on the FP1 podcast. Very good podcast. Been a guest on that. Make sure you go and drop him a subscribe. But he has gone for a team of Ricciardo. He is 14.1 million. So like I said, Vettel, Perez, Stroll, Russell and Mercedes. Loving that kind of Mercedes loyalty power unit there with Russell, Stroll, Perez and Mercedes. I think with this one, his weak point is Stroll. Just because he's gone double racing point.
Yeah, I would say the main thing, not just having Stroll, but it's that double racing point. I would be choosing Perez, not both of them. Perez is a great shout. Stroll, I think his price is 7.9, which is okay, but I just wouldn't have both of them.
For me, it's going to be a 4 Kimmys out of 5.
Okay. I'm going to go 3 Kimmys out of 5.
Ooh.
Because I'm feeling...
Our first dispute.
AS19...
Things are about to get frosty.
I gave him 3 Kimmys because of that double AlphaTauri. Giving this 3 because of the double racing point. Split your drivers. That should have been one of our top tips.
It should have been. There's a bonus tip for you. Split the drivers in the team. Yeah. You know what I mean.
Have 5 different drivers from 5 different teams.
Right.
Who's
up next?
We are going to go for Jonty James. And he's gone for Charles Leclerc, Carlos Sainz Jr., Checo Perez, George Russell, Lewis Hamilton and Renault as his constructor. Now you already know what we're going to say. Renault as the constructor. No. I say the only midfield constructor you can make an argument for is Racing Point for me. Just because I think they're a bit of a wild card. Who knows what they could do in that pink Mercedes. But other than that, Lewis Hamilton and Charles Leclerc looking great. Mercedes had a bit of a terrible Austria last year, but maybe see how practice goes with that. Well, Lewis Hamilton's a great shout for the whole season, so maybe get him in cheap now. It's a great shout. Carlos Sainz, Checo Perez, as we've said. The Renault constructor, I'm not sure.
That's the real curveball. I mean, surely he gets bonus points for the name. Nigel Mansell's mustache. John T obviously kind of regular interactor on Twitter. I mentioned as well that it is just a great name.
Yeah.
It's a great mustache.
I'm going to have to go for 3 Kimmys out of 5.
It's the same for me. The driver lineup is like 5 Kimmys out of 5. But the points you'll lose on the constructor may kind of affect you there. Plus, look, Austria was one race that Mercedes were actually weak at last year. It's been a year, and the way that Mercedes improve.
Yeah.
But it's probably a gamble a little bit not to have any Red Bull in there.
Yeah.
But I would go, it's a 3 Kimmys out of 5 for me. We now go on to Jose Bivian. I think I got that right. It said, this is his partner's team he has submitted. It's her first time playing. She chose a mix of drivers she knows and one she finds attractive.
So it can pay off dividends.
It can do. And although she is still a bit confused about how the game works, I'm worried she will beat me. Well, Jose, we pray for you that you can come over top. It's now time to rate your partner's team. So we have Hamilton, Perez, Ricciardo, Leclerc, Russell, and Racing Point.
Now, I did say Racing Point was the only one in the midfield I would kind of consider acceptable. And that driver lineup also looks pretty awesome.
Daniel Ricciardo is the turbo driver. Some of them I have missed on turbo drivers. We won't do those because it can change.
Yeah.
We'll talk about our turbos in previews and stuff, but also some of them haven't shown the turbo driver. For me, this one, I think I'll gamble on a 4 out of 10, just to kind
4 out of 10.
4 out of 5 Kimmys. I've completely ruined. How does that translate as a Kimmy? That's like 2 out of 5. God, horrible. I feel like it should be a 3 out of 5, but I'll tell you what. I'll give it 3.5 Kimmys. We've got half of the Kimmy with us. I don't know why we've cut
just
in half.
Decapitated Kimmy.
Yeah, with top half, bottom half Kimmy. What? Comment below. Which half of Kimmy would you like to make your 3.5?
Well, I think I'm going to go 4 Kimmys out of 5 on this one. Just because that Racing Point constructors, I'm a bit like, that could really pay off.
Yeah.
You just don't know how the pink Mercedes is going to go. And the driver lineup, you've got 5 drivers there that are likely, they're all number ones, likely to get those teammate bonus points. Very good.
It feels a strong team. So well done, Jose's wife.
They may seem a bit biased to Racing Point, but I just, I don't know.
Right, next one up.
Oh, I've just lost it.
Oh, we've lost it. We've lost it all.
Okay. We are going to go for Beth, which I believe she's...
fellow YouTuber Beth has a very good channel, so make sure you check her out as well.
Although she was quite greedy, she sent us 3 teams. This is a one team
But
show.
I think we went for Beth F1. Meow.
I like the name already. Okay, so she's got Danny Rick, Checo Perez, Valtteri Bottas, Lando Norris, Pierre Gasly, and Red Bull. Ooh, it's looking pretty good. The only thing is, I like the Red Bull. It's gone for 6 different things. That's what I like. It's when you sometimes have the matching, you kind of...
Week 1, it's good to spread your chips.
Yeah. Oh, I'm just not sure about Bottas. I don't know what you're thinking about Bottas. He's got quite a high price tag for Mercedes number 2.
I think that's a dangerous one. I think I would prefer Leclerc over Bottas. But I still think it's good. And Mercedes, it's a Mercedes car. Bottas has proven last year that he was consistent at kind of getting results. He did finish higher than Hamilton in Austria last year. He got onto the podium. So to secure some consistent points for Mercedes might still be a good shout. I'm going to give this one a 4 out of 10 for me. I think it's a well-round, spread the chips.
Spread the sheets.
I don't know what sheets we're spreading, but they're going. But spread the chips. So play your bets. I think it's a 4 out of 5 Kimmys.
I think that's fair. I think 4 out of 5. Nice constructor and a pretty strong drive lineup. Maybe consider Bottas replacement.
Okay, we're moving on to the last 2 of Rate Your Team. We've got Vic. I'm going to go for Vic's second team, which is Mercedes Dubs. I think that's how we say it. Perez, Russell, Verstappen, Sainz, Gasly, Mercedes. Strong. That's what I look there. Strong. Good drivers within there. Got Perez for the money. Verstappen, history of Austria doing well. Russell, Sainz, Gasly, all strong kind of drivers, and we've talked about Russell and his points. And Mercedes, as a constructor, 4 out of 5 Kimmys for me.
For me, I'm tempted. I'm tempted to sound the alarms again.
Ding, 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 ding.
I'm feeling a 5 Kimmys out of 5.
It's a 5 Kimmys out of 5. Our second of the day to Matsuo Gara. The prize is a pat on the back. Congratulations.
Whoa, no. What? Social distancing.
Oh. No, but
no
not from
pats
us.
on the back.
A self-pat on the back.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
We grant you permission to pat yourself on the back.
Permission granted.
Spreading the chips, we've just spoke about. Good strategy. You got 5 number 1 drivers there. Mercedes could be a very good pick for Austria. I'm liking it. I'm feeling that 5 Kimmys out of 5. Yeah, the only thing lacking is possibly a second top 3 driver. You probably Sainz has probably pushed that out of the price range, and Mercedes. But I think that's good. I think it's solid. I'm giving that 5.
Nice. 5 Kimmys out of 5. And we move on to the last team, which is Tinius Ferreira. I think I've said that right. South African, I believe, podcaster. TF1 podcast, and make sure you check that little. We're promoting everyone from there. Hey, if you're going to kind of join in, we've got to make sure we kind of shout out everyone on that front. His team has gone Perez, Sainz, Russell, Ocon, Gasly, Racing Point. I think I read that right. No, look. No top drivers. This feels very much to me as in I've picked my favourites.
How much money have you still got left in the bank?
Because that must be a hell of a lot.
Are you planning on buying a house?
I mean...
Is it just, I'll spend 50 million on F1 Fantasy, 50 million on everything else?
I didn't think the money worked like that.
I thought it did.
Okay.
There's great investment plans.
Well,
You don't want to invest too heavily in F1 Fantasy. Go spread it around the rest of your life. They're giving you 100 million.
Right, it's a 1 out of 10 for me. I'm sorry, Tinius.
1 out of 10 again.
A 1 out. Oh, 1 out of 5 Kimmys. Oh, that translates as 0.5, doesn't it? If we're halving
Which half
that,
Kimmy do you?
Which half?
1 out of 5, yeah.
1 out of 5 Kimmys. Tinius, I feel like you're not playing the fantasy game to win. You may be. This may be a masterstroke. The top 3 teams may flunk in Austria. George Russell wins the Austrian Grand Prix.
Williams are back.
Pierre Gasly comes second again, cries on the podium, and Esteban Ocon on his return to Formula 1 gets P3, and Sergio Perez finishes in 4th, very angry at the fact that he's finished behind Esteban Ocon, but Racing Point finished 4-5 with Lance Stroll there. And Carlos Sainz finishing bottom out of his drivers. Unlucky, Carlos.
I mean, that's the 5 Kimmys out of 5.
Right.
Okay, 1 Kimmy out of 5.
Tinius, come on, man. I feel
Feel
like...
free to play this clip back to us when that happens. But
Until then...
1 Kimmy out of 5.
1 Kimmy out of 5. We're sorry we've rated you so low. I've got it wrong. There was another team in, and we've got Mark.
We've got Mark here, and he's gone for... It's looking a very good team. Max Verstappen, Sebastian Vettel, George Russell, Checo Perez, Lando Norris, and Red Bull as his constructors. This is looking very good. Max Verstappen, Red Bull there. Could have a very good...
Ding, 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 ding! 5 Kimmys out of 5 for me. That's a great team. I think that's very strong.
You got your
money to make
in Vettel and George. You got Checo as the bargain buy. Lando Norris. You've turboed Lando, but we're not looking at turbos. He's probably good shout. Yeah, I think that's another 5 Kimmys out of 5.
A very strong team to finish on. We've gone from 2 opposite ends of the scale with Mark and Tinius there.
How to F1 Fantasy, how not to F1 Fantasy.
I feel like we're being very harsh on them. We are very sorry, but this is what happens when you open yourself to the ridicule of Rate Your Team.
Rate Your Team.
You'll see our teams next week when we go for the Austria preview. But that is the end of the Rate Your Team section. And we now move on to a moment we've missed. It is a Kimi moment. A Kimi moment of the week. It is a regular feature here on the F1 Fantasy Weekly podcast where we just end up, sometimes it's story time with Kimi, sometimes it's something that he's done. Obviously, we've had a long break. Kimi's done some things. It's been great.
It has been great.
But I tell you what, I felt unlucky.
Yeah.
I felt unlucky.
How things were picking up just before the start of the season.
Yeah.
And
F1 Fantasy, all you guys, you were getting excited. We were getting excited. The season was there and
it was F1 Fantasy's back.
And then it wasn't. It was gone. But we're back this time.
We're back.
We promise.
Maybe.
Austria, lights out. No, we're back.
We're back.
We're back. But I guess we should ask Kimi, who does he think's unlucky?
Me.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Kimi is unlucky. There you go. Kimi's
question
unlucky.
it.
That's your Kimi moment of the week. Nice and short, seeing as we've obviously spent a long time on Rate Your Team this week. We hope you've enjoyed it. If you have any questions regarding F1 Fantasy, obviously drop them in the comments down below. We will be back F1 Fantasy Weekly every Wednesday now through the rest of the season to kind of keep you up to date with rounds up of top scorers, previews, reviews. Everything fantasy related will be coming your way.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. And if they're new around here and they want to keep up to date with the fantasy match and they haven't done so already, what can they do, Stephen?
They can like, they can subscribe, and they can ding that bell.
Ding that bell. But that's it from us, guys. Again, we apologise for the intro, but it was funny.
Who knows what next week's intro will be?
Oh, don't make it a regular thing. What's this happened?
Who knows?
Well then this. For now, you F1 fans, keep racing!